and it's trapping the heat, or what happens?
Right. So whenever you have an additional layer, so it basically traps the body heat.
Yeah, and it's a bit thick because there's water, so it.
Right. And that's why you use phase-changing materials with firefighters or with protection cloths, for example, in labs or for surgery, because you would not have the possibility to actually have an evaporation, since the humidity stays within this protection cloth. So phase-changing material has the advantage that it doesn't need any evaporation, but then again, phase-changing material would increase the heat barrier very strong outside when you're running, so that you don't wear any actually cooling solution then.
Yeah. And I think the construction work is a good example. Does it usually work there? Is construction work, building a high-rise building, is it low intensity enough that it actually works, the evaporation, or how do you usually see it?
So we expected that it wouldn't work that well. We got a feedback that it works very well. I think it really depends what the construction workers were doing.
Yeah.
So our assumption is still the higher the physical activity, the less the cooling potential, or even it switch to the other side, that it gives this barrier. The beauty on a vest, it's that once you notice that it's not cooling anymore, that you take it down.
Yeah.
And the other beauty on, for example, in our vest, it's that you can wear it before you really get heat up. So you have a longer period where you are working in a comfortable temperature, at least body temperature, skin temperature, before then it starts to be so hot that not even a cooling vest helps.
Yeah, I've been in a summer job a long time ago in a construction, and yeah, I think it's maybe more physical for your arms, for your wrist, quite many tasks, not as like that your heart rate goes really up. It might be like hard for your muscles, smaller muscles squeezing and turning shoulder, but not really that you often work with your leg muscles. If there's something heavy to lift, usually you have a crane to do the heavy lifting, so to say.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, no, very interesting. And you collaborate with the Paraplegia Institute of Switzerland or Association. Could you tell more about the application with paraplegic people? Why do they need it?
So paraplegic people, depending where they got the paraplegia or tetraplegia, on which part of the body, their sweat system can be affected. That means sometimes these people cannot sweat anymore. So they are really very prone to heat stress. And somebody who had already heat stress knows that that's nothing to joke about. It can be very dangerous and affect the body quite strongly. And therefore, our cooling solution was actually developed specifically for people which are on the wheelchair in order to have an artificial sweating when they cannot sweat.
Yeah.
And I would say that is one of the ideal use cases for evaporation.
Yeah. And how is it with, this might be a silly question, paraplegic persons, if they are using, for example, ice packs, can they actually feel if it's too cold, or can they actually get frostbite of not feeling it?
Yes, again, it depends where they still have the feeling or not. Mostly they do have feelings in the upper body.
Yeah.
So it really depends what kind of tetraplegia they have. But from the people that use our vest, they are still like upright and they can still move. And not always very good, but they still can. And they also have feeling. But sometimes they don't have sweating.
Yeah.
And with cool pads, there would be a problem, obviously, when you use them, because sometimes the paraplegic people, they also use it on the legs, because you have the leg muscle. It's one of the biggest muscles. So cooling there is a good solution. And then, yes, with ice wouldn't be ideal.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're a paraplegic person and you are not able to sweat, at what temperature you would start using it? What kind of gets uncomfortable for them?
That is the question where I don't know the details. The foundation, it's very renowned and very well known over the whole world. And they teach the people exactly in these points.
Yeah.
When do you have to be careful with heat?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know the detail.
Yeah.
They know it.
Yeah.
But they
No
never
worries.
told us. Yeah.
And then the evaporation doesn't work in too humid environments. What's the limit? Could you give us ideas? Like, for example, does it work everywhere in Europe? Does it work everywhere in the US? What's too humid that it doesn't work?
So,
And how does the
yeah.
performance go down between certain humidity level?
So we assume with 70%, it will be more difficult.
Yeah.
Even so, we have some customers in Thailand and they use it and they are happy with that. But then it's more a short-term use where they apply the shoulder pad and not for long-term. And the longer you use it, the more humid it is, the more difficult actually to notice the effect.
Yeah.
And we are currently running some studies with EMPA because we have some potential in the Arab markets.
Yeah.
And for example, Dubai, it's quite humid too. So we have there a humidity of 60 and 70%. And that's exactly the question. When does it work and when not? And we want to have there more scientific data. Currently, from the feedback in Thailand, it still cools down, but that can be very subjective. So we want to have the real data there. What we know is when the humidity is around 40 or 50, there is not a problem. It cools down very well around this.
I would have thought that Dubai is dry, but I guess the sea is so
Yeah,
close.
me too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's too close to the coast.
Yeah, it's you have the yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I was doing my postdoc in Shanghai, and there's in the late spring you have the humid air coming from the sea, and then the dry air, and they are kind of battling which one is pulling which one, and it's raining, and then when the humid air from the sea wins, at some point it might be 2 weeks of struggle, and it's raining all the time, and then it wins. And it's super humid and super hot. So it's like a rainy 2 weeks and then boom, and the weather changes totally. And there it was so humid that even like the clothes in the closet started to rot if you don't have like a lot of this water ampoules. But
I experienced that in Thailand.
yeah. So paraplegic people, construction workers, is there many other medical groups that are crucial that they can cool themselves down?
Yes, so the original technology of the semi-permeable membrane was developed around 10 or 13 years ago from the research institute, and that was done for people with multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
So people with MS, they can suffer a lot during heat. And it's not that their sweat system is affected. They still sweat normally, but their joints get inflamed or the muscles get inflamed. And the cooling helps to prevent this inflammation and that the muscles or the joints get stiffer. So it increases the comfort for them.
Yeah.
And the other group we are currently testing are people with artificial skin because of severe burns. So when somebody had severe burns and receives artificial skin, apparently the skin doesn't have pores and doesn't sweat neither.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't have sweating pores or so.
Yeah. And I think I read about the multiple sclerosis that it's also that because their myelin sheet of the neurons is less or almost disappeared, the hot temperature can make like the nerve signals to not be transmitted, and they might get the flare up of the symptoms. So it might be the muscle and joint pain, but also the nervous system might not work in a hot weather. And how do they, like, let's say you paraplegic or multiple sclerosis and it's summer, would you wear it like the whole awake time? Would you wear it while you sleep? How do they usually use it? How practical is it? Yeah, could you give us an idea of how does it look in daily life?
So we do have a construction company who had a rollout with our vest, and the workers are using it quite extensively. In that case, they are doing more fiber optics and this combination of different fibers together, and they are in a little van basically the whole day. And there are some people who wear it the whole day. However, what we recommend is that you put it down after 45 minutes, because the semi-permeable membrane is to both sides. So it can be that the t-shirt gets a little bit wet, and then it's nice actually to take it off, and then you still have a little bit of a humid t-shirt, which dries out quite fast. And then you put it on, and then you have the effect of, oh, wow, this is nicely cool. And most people, they're using it that way. They're just using it temporarily, 45 minutes, 1.5 hours, and then they take it off. But then after 15 or 20 minutes, they would put it on again.